And something else I haven't seen for many years. This will be from the 1980s. It's a Saisho RTR 950. Saisho was a brand of Dixons here in the UK. I think it's just a basic mono radio cassette. It's just a volume control on the top. Interesting design of interlock recording there. It's very interesting how that's done. Yeah. Not a lot of sockets on this one. I think it was a budget model, I would guess. Just an earphone socket and mains. So something I do remember seeing these in the 80s. So quite a nice memory lane with that one. So that's that one. Okay, so I've got the Saisho on the bench. I've already checked and the radio seems functional. So that's good. The volume control's a bit noisy. Now for the cassette player. Not very enthusiastic. Fast forward. Rewind's a bit more enthusiastic. I suspect the belt is probably naff. Does it stop? No. I guess it's got... Let's have a look. Yeah, it's got the usual plastic finger in the middle that detects when the tape goes tight and doesn't protect you against tape tangles. That looks a bit loose. Oh, it's playing. Pulling the tape through. Well, I'm not hearing anything. Oop. Okay, no playback. Okay, I'm going to push the record prevention tag, wherever that is. I'm trying to see it. Down here. I'm going to whack it in record a couple of times. It could well be that record playback switch is dirty. This sometimes works. Let's see. No, that isn't good. Ah, there you go. Well, that's got that going. So, ooh, sticky controls as well. That's a bit. I wonder if these come straight off. Okay, let's have a look what's going on inside. Well, there was only one screw on the back there, and the rest of it, well, the other part of it is held in by these two clips here, so that was pretty easy. Oops, bench is falling apart again. Yeah, the belt is absolutely totally floppy. So it's a single board design, looks of it. So looks like knob off, top and bottom. I should be able to get the board out. There's only one screw in that as well, and the screw that holds the back is used for that. So should be easy to get access for a bit of contact cleaner, no problems at all. Well, here's the circuit board. Looks pretty simple, doesn't it? There's a couple of ICs. That one's probably for the tape, that's probably the audio output IC, and one probably for the radio. And there's what, two transistors I can see for the probably for the radio. Just filling in some other functions. Here's the record playback switch, so I can just give that a clean. I might give the headphone socket a clean as well. It looks a little dirty. I know it sounds a bit distorted. Now whether we've got problems with bag capacitors I don't know, but I might give them a go anyway. But a little bit of contact cleaner. I really ought to get the tissue out because it always ends up with contact cleaner where you don't want it. So I'll give that a go, and so I'm just, can I get in at the bottom here into the switch? Yeah, that's gone down. And a bit of contact cleaner up here as well. I think I can get a good aim on that. So yeah, hopefully, and that and changing the belt will be about it. Looks like I've got access here, so won't need to take the chassis out. Might put some grease on some of these buttons. A little curious about the other button that was getting jammed earlier, but yeah, I think that's about all I need to do, and resolder the aerial as well, and that will probably be workable. Looks like it's about to drop off that end as well, so I better make sure no other wires fall off. I've ended up flipping the deck out now. I can't get the screw undone. There's one on the side. Had to take the little record playback switch off. I didn't if I'd left the circuit board out. This just flops out. I also noticed that the cassette motor wiring is almost shortening, so I'll have to address that, but I'm hoping that I'm not 100% certain, but I'm hoping that this screw will release the bearing on the back of the flywheel. It's a plastic metal flywheel, and the plastic hasn't broken, surprisingly, because a lot of them did in the 80s, didn't they? So let's get on with the next bit. Well, that didn't quite work out how I expected, but never mind. I've had to take the eject mechanism off the side. Not sure what that bit does. Needs to go back, so I found a belt that'll do. The take-up tension doesn't seem exactly very high. I'm just trying to see where it's driven from. Oh, it's driven from here by this clutch, so I think I'll give this rubber idler clean. There's teeth, well, not teeth, serrated edge on this take-up spool, so I'll give that. Oh yes, you might not be able to see that, but that's the wiring to the motor, and that's a bit scary. It's well, it's definitely shortening now. I'll have to tidy that up as well. I'm going to have to look at the tape head as well, because ooh, that is miles out. Quite what's happened there. Hey, it might be a cheap cassette recorder, but look, it's got a raised head, so you know, that's one positive thing that I've seen. Okay, so I've reset the head to the right azimuth. Other little problem was the take-up was a bit, well, a bit lackluster, but now that looks good. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see the clutch is slipping now when I hold it, which means this rubber wheel is gripping well now. There we go. So that's working well now. I used a bit of rubber revisor on it actually, since I had the stuff. Yes, that's a nice slip there now, so that means it's got enough take-up tension. I think that's about it. I put a bit of grease in appropriate places. It's got a new belt, a bit of grease on the bearing, flywheel bearing. I think that's about all I'm going to do to it, because it's just a very basic cassette recorder and I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. Okay, so I've got it back together now. Some extra screws were needed. Some glue on the some of the piano keys as well. They've come unsoldered. I've just got to solder the aerial back on, and I think I'm done with this one. You know, it's not a Dynatron. It's a cheap radio cassette from the 80s, so I don't want to spend an awful lot of time on it. Anyway, we'll get it back together and we'll give it a quick test and got grease over my hands, and just see how it plays back and records. Okay, so I'm finally back together now. So we'll give the cassette player a a test. There we go. Rewind works. Notice that hum at the end? It hasn't got a very big smoothing capacitor in it. There we go. This sleep function is actually uses the cassette player as a sleep function, so when the tape auto stops at the end, turns the radio off. I recall having a radio cassette with that on. This needs a bit more of a clean, I think, but I don't think it's ever going to come up perfectly. I've had a look at the signals on the head, and it's DC bias and DC on the arrays head as well, so we'll give it a oh yes, this is where I get the chance to use this interesting integrated switch. So testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. This is a test of the Saisho RTR 950 1980's very basic radio cassette recorder. End of test. Obviously I'm going to have to wait for the leader tape, but bear with me. Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. This is a test of the Saisho RTR 950 1980's very basic radio cassette recorder. End of test. Good, so that's the radio cassette basically restored. I don't think it was worth spending more than the hour and a half I have on it, and spend any more money than on a belt really, but you know, it's a nice example of a 1980s radio cassette, so was worthwhile. By the way, that is wired up this little piezo tweeter, but I couldn't really hear there was much treble coming from it. It might be that it's corroded over the years and has failed, but there is definitely a transducer there. You may have saw it on the earlier part of the video. Anyway, thanks for watching. Another item fixed, so one less item to do.